Slider, Season 4, Episode World Killer. So this is one of my favorite episodes. I really appreciate like what they did with the whole aspects of doubles. One great thing about the multiverse is that, not only is the possibility of what if, but there's also like the aspect of duplicates, doubles, how they're different from you. I've always loved that aspect about sliders, but sadly, one thing it lacks is the focus on doubles and stuff. And normally when there is a double, it's normally Quinn. And of course, once again, Quinn is a double in this episode, but he's not technically the only person. This episode is really fascinating. Now, it's not perfect. Some of the dialogue is a little weird. But I do like the overall pacing of the episode. I like the message of the episode. I like the whole, you gotta take yourself outside the box and, think about like, what would you be like if your life turned out a different way? You know what I'm saying? And that's basically how Quinn is in this episode. Like, he meets his double and he's in for like a doozy and stuff. His double is very selfish and very egotistical and looking to make a quick buck. Even if it like costs people like, despair and everything. And like, I just really like that because Quinn did something very similar. He created a device. Well, see, his double created a sliding machine, but the double increased the power like way more than Quinn ever did. And it made everybody on the planet go to a different Earth. And so you can honestly think about how crazy that would be. There are so many people on the earth, and what would happen if that same number duplicated and you see your other self? It will be a lack of resources. People will go mad. People will be living on the street. People will be killing each other, and that's basically how this episode is. Now, it would have been nice to see all the chaos, as it unfolds, but, the chaos happened 3 years ago. So now we're in the aftermath of, like, basically people living like refugees and stuff. And like warlords taking over and like people being so corrupt. And it would have been nice to see a little bit more people like starving for food, not have no place to live. You get little glimpses of that, but not a lot. It would have been nice if you got like a lot of it. And, Arquin did a very similar thing, just on a smaller scale. He created a sliding machine and he doomed the lives of all his friends and doomed the life of a complete stranger in Rembrandt. And, so he can relate to what happened. And that's one reason why he's so furious at his double. And, when it comes to that, like, it was kind of odd because, like I said, like the dialogue's a little weird at first. Like basically it starts off with them leaving a movie theater. And right from the start, I could not figure out why the streets look so weird and the buildings look so weird until I got a little bit older and started learning more about Hollywood. And almost the entirety of this episode is filmed on a studio lot. Everything you see outside, the buildings, the street, that's all fake because there are no roofs to the building. It's just a studio lot, like just a big old plank of wood that's shaped to look like the outside of a building. And then the streets look super fake. The only time there's ever like a real building is when they go inside the store, inside Quinn's place, and the power plant. Other than that, everything's fake. And I do like the fact that they're in the city and it looks a certain way. Then when they slide around the corner and come back around, it's the same exact city, but now the street look jacked up. It looks like the ending to the first Resident Evil movie with chaos in the streets with the cars everywhere and newspapers and the streets just look dirty. And what's odd is that Rembrandt It's forgetting Slider rule, like, you don't yell on a new world, and especially if the world looks deserted. I was very shocked he did that because when they went to this world, the first world had a bunch of people. Then the second one had like nobody on the streets. And so he's just yelling, "Hey, where everybody at?" I'm just like, dude, what if this is like a hostile world and somebody comes around the corner like, "Oh, there's no yelling in this world, gotta arrest you." Like, you know what I'm saying? Or what if there was Cro-Mags on that world? I'm shocked that like they wrote him to do that and stuff. Anyways, after getting attacked by like a dog, they head to Quinn's place. And it's a completely different house. It's made kind of to look like his original house, but since so many seasons have passed and we never really saw his house in a long time, you kind of forget a little bit of what it looks like and the fence. But you gotta remember the original house is in Canada and now they're in LA. And so as he's in the home, nobody has lived there in years. There's like cobwebs everywhere. Way more cobwebs than 3 years passed, but hey, whatever, I'll buy it. And he's jealous because his double has way more awards and achievements than he has. And you really feel for Quinn because he feels bummed out. He knows he's the smartest person in that group. He's one of the smartest people in the world. And yet there's another person who's way smarter than him. But he shouldn't be too upset because every double he's met has been smarter than him, except for like a few. Like that one dude who's like a criminal in season 3. But then in season 2, in the first episode, his double's way smarter than him. And then in the pilot, his double's way smarter than him. So I don't know why he's too jealous, but he's really playing it up. So I give it the Jerry on that. And so they go down in the basement and all the sliding tech has been destroyed. And so, like, when he meets his double, because his double is shocked and surprised to see people living on that world, he grabs Maggie from behind and gives her a big hug. It's still creepy after all these years, the way he hugged her from behind. But anyways, after they have a talk, our group of sliders realize what that dude did. Now, what's odd when I said about the dialogue is that they're kind of scolding him and everything. Now, this is before we found out that his double's a jerk. See, when he tells them, like he created this device, he didn't know what it would do. He flipped the switch and a huge light came out and everybody was gone. He thought he vaporized everybody on the planet and that, he's paid like the price because he's now murdered people and he's having to live in a world by himself. Quinn is just furious with this dude and just like giving it to him. And Rembrandt's doing the same thing. Maggie's the only one who's trying to be level-headed, but also trying to give a little bit of a stern lesson to, but also in a nice, gentle way. It's nice to see Maggie of all people do that because she's Maggie of all people. And I was just really confused by this point. I'm all like, why are they scolding this dude and talking about how he hasn't paid a price? I mean, he kind of has when you think about it. Like, he thought he murdered everybody on the planet and everything. And now he has to wander the world all by himself, And so Quinn's all like, didn't you think of the possibility you probably sent them to like another world? And he's all like, well, maybe I thought that they traveled through time or maybe a different world. But you gotta remember, he had no idea what that device was gonna do. Because once again, they're doing the whole anti-gravitational unit thing. So they thought they was making that. And so just like with Quinn and what he did to Rembrandt and the others, he had no idea what was gonna happen and everything, Well, Quinn had a little bit more of an idea because his double helped him. But remember, Quinn increased the power, and that's what caused the slide wave, and it took Rembrandt and everything. And also, it took them. And so you think Quinn would be a little bit more sympathetic to like his double and stuff, but he's not. And so they realize, how much power he used because he blanked out like the power grid and all this other crap. And even then I still had sympathy. Come like, okay, yeah, you're making some like sci-fi technology. You're gonna need some like extra boost of energy. I mean, Doc Brown did in Back to the Future, plutonium and everything, And so But then, like, we quickly start to see a tone shift in the other Quinn. He starts to be very jerkish and everything. And it's just kind of like, well, where did this come from? Because he ain't seen like that before, but now he's done a complete 180. And like, now he's just like, oh yeah, you suck, dude, and everything. And, now you see why they were scolding him, but you didn't really get that feeling before that he's just a jerk. Basically, he wants to be bigger and better and always wants everything to be bigger and better. And so he did not think of the risk when like he created his machine. Quinn said he started off small and he tested it on himself, which was what scientists back in those days normally used to do, and or at least on TV. And that's really what his double should have done, but still it was just a mistake, you know what I'm saying? And so this is one of the problems I have with the slide wave in this. They said because he was in the eye of the storm, it did not take him. Well, when Quinn created his slide wave, it took him, the professor, and Wade, and they was in the eye of the storm. So that doesn't make no sense. And their wave was completely different than what Rembrandt got caught up in. But since this dude used more power, it was basically just like a poof, and everybody was just like gone and stuff. And so they have to get some equipment and figure out, how to like get those people back. And it's nice to see them in the store getting equipment and building the machine that they need and stuff. And so when they built the machine, I assumed it was going to be like a huge machine because Quinn said he started off small. Well, this dude's sliding technology is smaller than Quinn's. And he said the original prototype was even smaller than that. So the dialogue's not really making a lot of sense right there. But then Rembrandt comes in with money and a mint condition Superman issue #1. And I was just like, why did they have Rembrandt do that for? But then it pays off when it comes to the money, but not the Superman comic. So they go to the next world and everything. And one thing I do like is like, they changed the energy color of the sliding like technology stuff. So it's kind of like the same color as the Chromax. And when they go in that other world, they're still in Quinn's basement. But this time something neat happened. There's a huge ring on the wall. Basically, the device is so powerful, it burnt kind of like a hole through like it did something. I don't know what it did, but it kind of like burnt a hole through dimensions or something like that. And this is something we've never seen before, so it's kind of neat to see some different type of tech, do something like that. And so I always like it when they elaborate a little bit more on the sliding technology and how it can be altered and changed and, stuff like that. But basically they need to check the device because, so much energy and it started sparking, you gotta be safe. But the other Quinn is not safe. He's just reckless and stuff. And so when they are in the basement, about a couple of seconds pass later, and a little boy shows up. He's freaked out and he's hollering for help. So then here comes the cavalry. And this is the part that I both love and I'm a little disappointed in. So we get to meet some people on that world and also from the other world. And well, there's two nuns played by the same actress, and one's a sweet, kind-hearted nun, and her double is just a sassy, foul-mouthed kind of nun. And I like the different dynamic of that. That's the whole point of having doubles and everything. And we get a very moving speech by the nice nun about how God saw how wicked the world is, and so he had two animals, 2 by 2, and he no longer wanted 1 by 1, and this time he did 2 by 2 with like people, and they're there to live in like detriment and all this other kind of stuff. It was a very moving little speech, whether you're religious or not, you know what I'm saying? But here's the problem with all the people in the room. Why I do like the fact that they have a bunch of people there sheltered up because there's not enough room on that earth. Why doesn't everybody look the same? If this is supposed to be a world where a bunch of doubles are like, interacting with each other and stuff. It'd be nice to have some twins in this episode, a bunch of like twins, and they should have did a cattle call for twins. And if not, I guess they didn't have the money to they duplicate everybody like they did Quinn, and they did that nun lady. And so like, I seriously, if I was working on this show, I would have done a cattle call for as many twins in like America or Canada, fly their behinds out to that studio and film that episode, because that's the whole point of like, you know, doubles. But I still appreciate all the people there. Now, one part of the dialogue I don't understand is that, okay, so they don't believe that those people came from another world. They just believe they're just hoodlums trying to break and get their stuff. So she asked the little boy, what did you see? He's all like, they just came out of nowhere and just like poof and everything. No, little boy. You got there a couple of seconds or a minute after they showed up. So you didn't see them come poof out of the wall and everything. And so that's part of the dialogue that always bugged me and stuff. And then Rembrandt, so the whole him and money, he's all like, look, man, why would we rob from you and we got all this money right here? And, you know, so at least that part paid off, because other than that, that was just kind of weird. And so the mean nun who has a shotgun and will put it in your face, she tells them, you know, like, well, basically what happens is like, the other Quinn, as the other lady's telling the story, he gets like all emotional, talking about, man, I doomed the world and everything, and he's gonna fix it. So he's gonna prove what they say. So he turns the device on. And when he turns it on, it creates the portal and everything. And so these people freak out because they ain't actually, cause it's a normal like sliders tunnel like portal. So this one dude freaks out and he pours water on it and it starts sparking. So now the device is totally jacked up and they're all stuck there now. And so they have to fix it. And Quinn, once again, is pissed at his double and basically tells him, you know, when something's sparking on fire, yeah, they're going to try to put it out. But it wasn't on fire. It just created a portal. So I don't understand the dialogue here. But the other Quinn is just like, look, man, they needed proof of what we said because we were going to get shot in the face. So he turned the device on. And the thing about our Quinn, he doesn't like how impulsive the other Quinn is. The other Quinn is smarter, but he never uses his brain the way he should. And so basically they have to get like supplies and everything to fix it. Now Quinn said earlier that like because the dimensional energy is like screwed up in it and everything, they have to fix this machine right and slide, like one chance they have to slide because they ain't gonna get no other chance because they just won't be able to get back home and crap. So basically they go to the supply store and it's the same one from the other world, but now we get to see what the streets are like. There are people living there. The warlords are like, you know, they have control of like the police. It's chaos there. Like you can't even go in the store with like a rifle, but you can walk around town with a rifle. And so like, this is what I love about Sliders. Like I really wanted to see the chaos that this other world created from all them people being there and stuff, you know? I just wish we could have saw more, like people getting like mugged or like beat up in the streets, or like the cops just like, you know, going nuts on somebody. It would have been nice to that, but like I said, we get little glimpses of it here and like there. And so they go in and get the supplies, but they're not allowed to go in the store with the gun, so the cops take it. When they leave, they don't give Maggie back the gun for some reason. When they leave, the one cop called other cops and they get chased and shot at. And so Quinn decks one of the cops and saves his double. His double is shocked that he came back for him. And his double is slowly starting to learn about like compassion and everything. And so like, one of the things that they have some type of genetic scanner type thing, because Quinn needs to know who's from what Earth and how to get them back. But then there's a huge problem with the dialogue that's never really truly addressed. when Rembrandt started scanning people, and he realized that there are some people from this Earth and some from the other Quinn's Earth, but there are people who have married from two different Earths and made babies. So Rembrandt said, we're gonna screw a whole lot of crap up if we slide these people back. And so Quinn's just like, like it has to be done. I really wanted to see more of the implications of that, because it would have been nice to have a couple be all like, no, I don't want to leave. Like, this is my child now. And if I leave, then I'm never going to see like my spouse or like my child again. You don't get none of that dialogue. They have to hurry up with like the show. And it's really a huge letdown when they didn't have like a discussion like that, because what is going to happen, because that also that child shares the like genetic material of both parents from both Earths. What if they get like split in half or something like that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because like, what if half of them wants to go back to the other world and their body can't? And like, what if it kills that kid? You know what I'm saying? Like, I really wanted to see what would happen if something like that was to happen, and it would have been nice to have some dialogue. Anyways, the other Quinn is moping outside, still being jerkish to everybody. And Maggie is the one who has to talk some sense into him. And, they bond over like, their fathers and stuff like that. And it's really touching. It was also touching when Maggie and Rembrandt was bonding about how they're all from like different Earths. And, because Quinn's from a different Earth, his is taken over by Chromax and hers got blown up. It would have been nice to have a little bit more touchiness of that, but it was nice to get the little dialogue that we did. So basically now they need power and everything. They need something that's the size of like a power plant. And the mean nun knows where they can get that. But that's where one of those boss people take up like shop there. So she has a dude named Roberto to help her out, because he used to work there. He has one eye because the boss took his other eye. And it's a nice power plant. Like, it was nice to go on location and stuff. And the boss dude, I really like that character. He was so good at acting. All he had to do was just sit down in the chair and be intimidating as he talked, like a real like Italian mobster and everything. And he talks about how on the other world, he used to write gift cards and everything. And now on this world, he has his own crime syndicate. And it's interesting. It would have been nice to see how he became the way he did, but it's never shown. Because how do you go from writing gift cards to owning your own mob? You know what I'm saying? So basically, they do what they do best. And we get to see a moral implication with one of the police officers. Quinn's all like, look, man, remember why you became a cop? Let us go. And he's all like, I wish I could help you and everything. But he's just too afraid. And it's because that world just sucks now. Like, there's no supplies, no nothing. But the other Quinn is being a punk again. He's all like, yo, man, we can get out of this. We can give that dude all the technology he wants, and he'll let us go, and we can be living like kings and everything. And Maggie's pissed. She's all like, you gonna give this dude more power and like the technology to slide? He's all like, but that's what the boss dude thinks. And it's the other Quinn acting very selfish once again. So he gets another scolding and everything. Anyway, some fireworks about to happen, some guns slinging here and there, and the bad Quinn saves the good Quinn and takes a bullet in the shoulder. It would have been more touching if he would have died, and because he's shocked himself he would save somebody else's life, but it's really starting to hit him now. What he did was wrong, and he's too selfish and too greedy, and he's doomed so many people's lives. So one way he wanted atonement was to like take a bullet for a dude. And it would have been more touching if, just like I said before, he died or something like that. Anyway, to get the power they need, the slide wave happened and they go back to the other planet. Now here's the problem I have with that. Once again, they was in the eye of the storm, so technically they should have stayed there. Also, with the weird device Quinn used to scan people and set it for the coordinates of the other Earth, technically the slider should have never slid. The slide wave should have never taken them because they're not from that earth and everything. But maybe when you come from another earth, it leaves deposits on you, so I'll let that slide. But still, it bugs me. And so Bad Quinn decides to let the refugee people live in his home until they can get back to their living situations and, get back to normal. You gotta remember, 3 years, nobody's been attending to the yards, the water, the gas, the electricity, like none of that stuff. So he's going to help them, get on their way and everything. And so the sliders leave him, but he wants Maggie to stay because, people like Maggie because she's hot. And so but no, she's giving us hints that there's another person for her. He realizes it's the other Quinn and hopes that, he can appreciate her and stuff like that. So it's building that whole slow romance thing of them. But with all the tech that that world had, Quinn is able to fix his timer to where he can find Colin and everything. So yeah, I really do like this episode. It's really neat, and I love the idea that it focuses on doubles. It just would have been nice to see the doubles and a little bit more of the other world chaos that happened. The street should have been more flooded with people. Because think about it, you got quintillion tons of people on that earth. It should have been jam-packed and everything. But, they would have to pay all those extras. So, yeah,